The galaxy was silent, stars burning far away in the dark sky. Then, without warning, every screen, every device, every ship display lit up with the same image. It was not a news anchor, not a speech, but the human ambassador himself, chained to a metal chair, his face pale, bruises marking his skin, his clothes torn, his hands bound behind him. The room around him was cold and dim, the walls metal and wet as if the place had been cut out of a dying ship. Alien guards stood at the edges, tall, thin, with eyes that glowed like fire. They held weapons that looked sharp enough to cut through bone. Their expressions were without mercy. Billions across the galaxy stopped what they were doing, in space stations, on planets, in mining colonies. All eyes turned to the broadcast. Even those who hated humans leaned forward, curious to see what's going to happen. The ambassador lifted his head. His voice cracked but still strong as he spoke. "We do not seek war," he said, his voice echoing in the chamber. "We came to your council for peace. We came to trade, to share knowledge, to join the stars together. But you have answered with chains and blades." His words carried weight, each one a reminder that this was not just one man speaking, but the voice of Earth itself. The alien leader stepped forward into the camera's view. His skin was black and ridged like armor, his mouth curved into a cruel smile. He looked down at the ambassador the way a predator looks at a trapped animal. His voice was low, but filled with hate as he spoke in the common tongue. "Your people are weak. Your ships are slow. Your fleets are nothing. You will bow to us, or you will burn." The ambassador did not lower his gaze. "If you kill me, there will be no more warnings," he said. "You think humans will break, but you do not know us. You do not understand what you are waking." For a moment, the alien leader laughed. A cold, sharp sound that made the guards grin. And then, without a pause, he drew a curved blade from his side, the metal shining under the dim lights. In one motion, he struck, the blade cutting through the ambassador's chest. Gasps echoed in homes and ships across the galaxy. Some shouted, some cursed, some just sat in silence, unable to believe what they had just seen. The camera did not turn away. It showed the ambassador falling forward, blood dark against his pale shirt. It showed the alien leader stepping over the body as if it meant nothing. The transmission ended with the alien empire's crest filling the screen, a cold message beneath it in every galactic language. "This is the fate of all who defy us." For a moment, there was only silence across the stars. Then whispers began, on trade ships, in bars, in hidden corners of space stations. People spoke in low voices about what they had seen. Some feared what the alien empire would do next. Others feared what the humans would do, because far away, in the cold dark beyond the outer planets, the human fleets began to move. In the asteroid bases, old war factories lit up for the first time in decades. Deep under Mars, heavy doors started to open, revealing shapes hidden for 100 years. Shapes with teeth and claws made of steel, in the command rooms of Earth. Generals stared at the frozen image of the ambassador's last moments. None of them spoke, but in their eyes was the same thought. This was no longer politics, no longer diplomacy, no longer words. This was war. And those who had killed the ambassador did not yet understand the storm they had just called down upon themselves. They thought Earth was just another small world, a place with traders and settlers, but they had never seen the face of a human fleet in full wrath. They had never heard the silence before a human strike in the depths of space. The engines of black warships began to glow, slow at first, then brighter. As if the ships themselves were waking from a long sleep, the orders were short, clear, and without mercy. There would be no negotiations, no more warnings, no more waiting. The galaxy would remember this day not as the day the ambassador died, but as the day humanity decided it was done speaking. In the shining halls of the Galactic Council, the air was warm and heavy with the scent of rare flowers. Alien leaders sat in their high chairs, their robes glittering with jewels. The curved walls glowed faintly with embedded crystals, and from the high windows, the rings of the Council's planet shimmered in the distance. News of the human ambassador's death had already reached them, and it was met not with shock, but with laughter, deep, cruel laughter that echoed through the marble chamber. The leader of the Zareth Empire leaned back, his voice thick with amusement. "So the humans cry for war, do they?" he said. "They will be dust before they even leave their homeworld." A tall, green-skinned delegate from the Corin Syndicate waved a jeweled hand dismissively. "Earth is small. Their fleets are scraps from a forgotten age. Their weapons are little more than toys. The humans cannot even build a proper dreadnought," she said, her voice dripping with arrogance. They shared rumors as entertainment. One alien claimed that humans still used gunpowder on some worlds. Another joked that Earth's warships were slower than ancient cargo haulers. Their voices rose in smug agreement, believing their power was untouchable, but not all in the chamber were so certain. In a shadowed corner, a quiet delegate from the Terran Republic sat with his eyes half closed, his mind replaying something he had once heard from a smuggler who had visited human space. "Never mistake a human's silence for weakness," the smuggler had said. "They only speak when it's too late to stop them," the Council dismissed. The thought, the Zareth leader raised a goblet filled with blue liquid. "Let the humans come," he said. "We will burn their cities, take their resources, and make their people serve in our mines." His words were met with cheers. The sound bouncing off the crystal walls, in the middle of the celebration, a small, thin messenger entered the hall, his uniform bearing the mark of the Council's intelligence network. He moved quickly to the central podium, his face pale, his eyes restless. "Report from the Outer Rim," he said in a shaking voice. "Human trade convoys have disappeared from all known routes. Their colonies have gone silent. Mars shipyards have closed access to all non-human vessels." A few Council members frowned, but most dismissed it as cowardice. "Perhaps they are hiding from shame," one joked. "Perhaps they wish to starve quietly." The messenger hesitated, then added, "We have also lost contact with 3 of our scout fleets assigned to patrol near human space," their last transmission mentioned. Shadows in the void, and then nothing. This made the room quieter, but only for a moment. The Zareth leader barked a laugh. "Scouts vanish all the time," Kay said. "Asteroids, pirates, mechanical failure. Do not tell me you believe. The humans are hunting them in the far end of the chamber." The Terran delegate's gaze sharpened. He had seen this pattern before, in other wars. When a small power hid its strength until the last moment, the Council had made a mistake. But he knew no one here would listen until it was too late. The laughter continued, filling the air like a song of arrogance. But beyond the grand windows of the Council's world, far in the blackness between stars, something was moving. Human ships with hulls darker than the void itself were already in motion, their weapons cold but ready. The Council believed they were untouchable. They believed humans were nothing more than noisy traitors. Yet in the shadows, a quiet truth was taking shape. Humans had not forgotten the ambassador's last words. They were not mourning, they were preparing. The Council would not know this until the first human strike burned across their territories, until the first of their great fleets was torn apart in silence. But by then, the laughter that filled these walls would be gone, replaced by the sound of fear. For now, they raised their glasses again, toasting to their imagined victory, blind to the storm that was already forming, blind to the fact that their arrogance had signed their own destruction. Beneath the endless red sands of Mars where the sunlight never reached, a set of ancient doors began to tremble. They were massive, taller than city buildings. and sealed so tightly that dust had piled against them for centuries. Each door was engraved with symbols from an old human war, a war most of the galaxy had forgotten. But Earth had never truly let go. Inside, behind those doors, the air was cold and still. Rows upon rows of black warships stood in silence, their hulls coated in a fine layer of red dust, their weapons hidden but dangerous. These were not ordinary ships. They were predators built for a war that had never come, armed with weapons. The galaxy had long ago banned. Alarms echoed through the underground hangar as the locks released one by one. Engineers in heavy suits moved quickly along the catwalks, their voices carrying through the comms, power cells online, weapons cores stable. Engines at 40%. Slowly, the ships began to hum with life. Their lights flickering on like the eyes of waking beasts, the galaxy thought. Earth's fleet was small. They believed humans only had the few ships they showed in public. Cargo haulers, small escorts, outdated frigates. They had no idea that deep under Mars, an entire hidden armada had been sleeping, high above, in Earth's orbit. Construction rings glowed red as new frames were pulled together. Sparks rained into the void as welders sealed armor plating thicker than anything the galaxy used. On the moon, massive cannons were being assembled. Weapons so large they could split a battleship in half with one shot. Retired soldiers began to return, their uniforms old but their eyes sharp. They had fought in the hidden wars of Earth's past, the ones no alien had ever heard about. Some had sworn never to fight again. But the ambassador's death had called them back. There was no hesitation, only purpose, across human space. Factories shifted overnight. Production lines that had been making civilian ships now forged armor plating, missile racks, and railguns. Asteroid mining stations redirected their output. Straight to military yards, freighters moved under heavy escort, their cargo holds carrying more than just metal. They carried vengeance. On Europa, deep beneath its icy surface, a secret lab activated a machine known only to a few. It was a weapon that used gravity itself as a blade, banned by every galactic treaty. Earth had signed those treaties too. But treaties were only paper when the enemy crossed the line. The galaxy had never asked what humans were capable of building. They had never cared to know. Most believed humanity had no taste for war, that they lacked the resources to compete with the great empires. But humans had learned long ago that survival meant preparing for storms before the clouds appeared in the command center on Earth. A large screen displayed a map of the stars. Red marks spread slowly across alien territory. Each mark was a planned strike, each one meant to cripple a fleet, a supply line, or a capital world. There was no discussion of peace, no talks of surrender. The decision had already been made. Fleet commanders walked the steel floors of their ships. Feeling the hum of reactors deep in the hull, they had been ordered to remain silent until the first blow. No warnings, no threats, only action. Every captain knew the moment they engaged, there would be no turning back. On Mars, the ancient warships rose from their underground hangars, dust falling from their hulls as their engines flared bright. One by one, they lifted into the thin red sky, breaking through the atmosphere into the black ocean of space. Each ship carried a name, names of battles, names of heroes, names of losses that had shaped humanity's resolve. The galaxy still laughed, still mocked, still believed humans were traitors with guns. But far from their sight, an old truth was coming alive, a truth forged in fire and loss, a truth that said humanity did not forget and did not forgive. The awakening was complete, the weapons were ready. And soon the galaxy would see the part of humanity they had never met, the part that fought without mercy. The alien patrol fleet entered human space without fear. Their ships were painted with the red insignia of the empire that had killed the ambassador. 20 warships in formation, moving slowly through the black, their hulls shining under the faint light of distant stars. They expected no resistance, no challenge, only silence. Their commander, a tall and cruel alien named Vorash, sat in his command chair with a smirk. "Scan for human activity," he ordered. "If they have ships, they will run when they see us." His officers nodded, believing this would be another easy mission, but the scanners returned nothing at first, only the emptiness of space. Then, faint blips appeared, dozens of them, at extreme range. No transponders, no signals, just silent shadows. Vorash frowned. "Identify," he demanded, but the computer could not. Then, without warning, the void lit up. Human ships emerged from the darkness like ghosts, their hulls blacker than space itself. Their shapes sharp and predatory. No running lights, no engine glow. Only cold steel and quiet intent. The alien fleet opened a channel, broadcasting threats and demands. But the humans said nothing. They didn't even respond. They simply adjusted their formation, weapons slowly turning to face the enemy. The silence was more terrifying than any insult. Vorash laughed at first, thinking humans were trying to intimidate them. "Fire a warning volley," he ordered. Beams of green energy shot across space, missing on purpose, burning harmlessly into the void. The human response came instantly, a single coordinated volley from all ships. White-hot projectiles moving so fast they barely registered on sensors. Half the alien fleet vanished in the first strike, torn apart before they could even raise shields. The debris field glowed with fire and twisted metal. The survivors panicked, some trying to return fire, others breaking formation. But every escape route was already blocked. Jump points they thought were open were suddenly sealed by strange human devices unknown to their technology. On the alien flagship, alarms screamed. Crew members shouted in confusion. Vorash barked orders, "Call for reinforcements now." But his comms officer shook his head. "Signals are jammed. No messages can leave this system." One by one, human ships picked off the remaining targets, precise shots tearing through engines. Detonating reactors, each kill swift and merciless. There was no waste, no chaos, just efficient destruction. The humans fought like predators who had studied their prey for years. A few alien ships tried a desperate charge, firing wildly. But the humans slipped between their attacks with impossible speed, returning fire only when they had a perfect shot. Even damaged human ships stayed in formation, their discipline unbroken when the last alien cruiser was crippled. A human destroyer moved in close, opening a channel for the first time. The screen flickered, and the alien crew saw the face of a human captain, his expression calm, voice steady. "Tell your empire," he said, "the debt has been noted. And this is only the beginning." Then, before the aliens could answer, their ship's reactor was destroyed, the explosion lighting up the void like a dying star. In less than 10 minutes, the entire alien patrol fleet was gone. Not one ship escaped. Not one message left the system. The humans erased every trace of the battle except the debris that now floated silently. A warning for anyone else who dared to enter. Across the galaxy, word of the attack spread not through official channels, but through whispers. Smugglers spoke of human warships that appeared from nowhere. Traders claimed they had seen wreckage of an alien fleet drifting cold. Governments denied the rumors, but fear had already begun to grow in the war rooms of Earth. The operation was marked as a success, not because of the ships destroyed, but because of the silence maintained. The enemy still had no idea how many ships humanity truly had, or where they would strike next. The first blow had been struck, and the galaxy was starting to realize that humans were no longer speaking. They were acting. The alien empire's capital was a jewel in the galaxy. A planet wrapped in silver cities and shining towers. Rings of defense satellites hung in perfect formation above its skies. fleets patrolled the edges of the system, their weapons always ready. The rulers believed no enemy could ever touch this world. They were wrong. The attack came without warning. No declaration, no signal, no sound. One moment the skies were clear, the next. Hundreds of human warships erupted from jump points that should have been impossible to access. The defenders had expected any invasion to come through the main lanes, but the humans appeared behind them, above them, inside their own secure space. The first strikes were precise and surgical. Human railguns shattered the orbital defense stations in seconds, their explosions turning night into day over the capital's oceans. Missile swarms cut through the enemy fleet, targeting command ships first, breaking their coordination before the battle had even begun. On the planet's surface, alarms screamed through every city. Civilians ran for shelter as the sky lit up with falling wreckage. Military leaders tried to rally their forces, but communications were failing. Every command channel was being jammed by human signal breakers from the bridge of the human flagship. The commander watched in silence. Every order he gave was short, sharp, and without hesitation. Target Grid 5, fire. Squadron 2, advance, no survivors for fleet command. The humans moved like a single organism, every ship in perfect sync. The alien home fleet, proud and vast, tried to form a counterattack. But their formations collapsed under the relentless precision of human fire. Their battleships, designed to intimidate smaller powers, crumbled under the weight of human weapons that hit harder and faster than anything they had faced before. In desperation, the alien emperor ordered his personal guard to escort him off-world. His shuttle was sleek, plated in gold, its engines roaring as it rose from the palace courtyard. But human eyes had already marked it. A destroyer broke formation to intercept, disabling the shuttle's engines with a single shot. The craft tumbled back toward the city, smoke pouring from its hull. Human marines descended in drop pods, the night sky burning with streaks of fire as they fell. Their impact shook the palace walls. And within minutes, the halls of the Empire's ruler were filled with the sound of boots on marble. The Emperor tried to run, his guards falling one by one to disciplined bursts of gunfire, till the great doors of the throne room burst open, and a human captain stepped inside, his armor dark and scarred from battle. He crossed the room without a word, seized the alien leader by the arm, and dragged him toward the light of the burning city. Every camera still working in the capital focused on that moment. The once feared ruler of an empire pulled through the streets in chains, his fine robes torn, his face pale with fear. This was no staged broadcast. This was reality. The humans transmitted the image across the galaxy, side by side with the recording of the ambassador's death. The message was clear. The debt had been paid. Above the planet, the last resistance collapsed. The remaining enemy ships tried to flee, but human vessels hunted them down one after another until the orbit was clear. Then the human fleet turned their weapons on the planet's military strongholds, eliminating every base, every bunker, ensuring the Empire could never rise again. By nightfall, the jewel of the galaxy was ash and ruin, its towers broken, its streets empty, except for the smoke. The humans did not stay to rule. They did not claim the land. They left only destruction and the memory of what happened to those who crossed them. In the silence that followed, the galaxy stared in disbelief. The most powerful empire had fallen in a single day, and the ones who had done it had not even lost a single capital ship. Humanity had not just avenged their ambassador, it had rewritten the balance of power in the stars. The fall of the alien capital was only the beginning. The fire that started there began to spread across their empire like a storm. Human fleets did not slow down. They did not pause to celebrate. They moved with cold precision from one target to the next. The first worlds fell quickly. Colonies that had once flown the Empire's flag now surrendered at the sight of human ships appearing in orbit. No battle. No resistance, only the quiet lowering of banners on some planets. The local leaders sent messages begging for mercy before the humans even fired a shot. Trade hubs were the next to go. Massive stations where merchants from across the galaxy once gathered. Now they were silent, their docking bays blocked by human warships. Their markets empty. Now the humans destroyed the Empire's economy as easily as they had destroyed its fleets. In deep space, convoys carrying food, weapons, and reinforcements tried to slip through. But the humans were always there first, their ships appearing from impossible angles, cutting off escape routes, boarding freighters, and leaving them drifting, stripped of cargo. The Empire's admirals tried to regroup what was left of their forces. But each time they gathered a fleet, the humans struck like lightning, never giving them time to prepare. Every engagement was over in minutes. Wreckage and bodies left floating in the black worlds that once swore loyalty to the Empire began turning on each other. Old grudges resurfaced now that the central power was gone. But none dared to act too boldly, because every leader had seen the broadcasts. They knew humanity was watching. Across the galaxy, governments that had mocked humans now held quiet meetings. Their leaders speaking in low voices, wondering if they would be next. Some sent secret envoys to Earth with gifts and offers of alliance. Others simply ordered their fleets to stay far away from human space. The words of the ambassador echoed in the minds of many. "If you kill me, there will be no more warnings." Those who had once laughed at that promise now realized it had been the truth all along. In the ruins of the Empire's worlds, human soldiers moved like shadows, dismantling weapons, destroying shipyards. Making sure nothing of value could be used to rebuild, they were not conquerors. They were erasers, removing every trace of the power that had dared to challenge them. Some alien commanders tried to negotiate, sending messages of surrender with promises to hand over everything. But the humans ignored them. This was not about diplomacy anymore. It was about making sure no one else in the galaxy would ever think of crossing Earth again. Rumors began to spread among civilian ships. Stories of human vessels that could cloak themselves completely. Ships that could fire weapons from across entire systems. Stories of a secret human base hidden in the void where they built weapons the galaxy had never seen. Whether these rumors were true or not didn't matter. Fear was enough. Fear kept fleets docked. Fear kept spies out of human space. Fear made entire governments change their plans overnight. The Empire's last stronghold was a fortress world surrounded by asteroid defenses and heavy fleets. Its leaders believed they could hold out for years. But when the humans arrived, the battle lasted less than an hour. The asteroids were pushed aside with controlled detonations. The fleets were broken before they could even complete their first maneuver. And the planet's surface defenses were silenced in a single coordinated strike. By the time the dust settled, the once great empire was gone. Not weakened, not damaged, but erased. Its name would live only in history books as the one that made the mistake of thinking humans were harmless. In every corner of the galaxy, the message was clear. Humanity had no interest in ruling others, but they would never forgive, never forget, and never stop until justice was done. And now, every ruler, every fleet commander, every soldier understood the unspoken truth. Peace with humans was possible. But crossing them meant ruin. The throne room of the alien capital lay in ruins. Once a place of polished marble and shining banners, now it was nothing but cracked stone, burned pillars, and shattered glass. Smoke drifted through the broken ceiling, letting thin beams of sunlight fall across the debris. In the center stood the human commander. Tall and silent, his armor scarred from battle. Before him knelt the captured alien emperor, the one who had ordered the ambassador's death. Chains bound his hands and neck. His proud face now pale with fear. Around them stood human soldiers, their rifles ready, their eyes hard. Outside, the sounds of the ruined city echoed faintly, the distant hum of human ships. the crackle of fires still burning, the cries of the defeated. The commander turned slowly toward the cameras, dozens of them hovering in the air, broadcasting live to every corner of the galaxy. "You have all seen what happened," he said, his voice steady. "You saw our ambassador chained and murdered for the crime of seeking peace. You heard his words. You saw his last breath. His gaze was cold, but his tone never wavered behind him." One of the soldiers pressed a button, and on every screen, the execution of the ambassador replayed, side by side with footage of human fleets tearing through the Empire's worlds. The images shifted from battlefields to smoldering cities, to the sight of the Emperor being dragged through his own streets in chains. "This is not vengeance alone," the commander continued. "This is the cost of arrogance. This is the price for thinking humanity can be broken. We did not start this war, but we have ended it." His words carried the weight of every destroyed fleet, every fallen fortress, every world brought to its knees. The alien emperor tried to speak, but the commander silenced him with a glance. "Your empire is no more," he said. "Your fleets are gone, your armies are scattered. Your name will be remembered only as a warning." He turned his eyes back to the galaxy, and let that warning be clear to all. The camera focused on his face, every scar, every shadow, every line of steel in his expression. "We are not conquerors," he said. "We will not take your worlds. We will not rule your people. But if you strike at us, if you harm our own, there will be no safe place for you, no wall high enough, no fleet strong enough to protect you." In the background, human banners were raised above the ruins of the palace, not as a claim of territory, but as a symbol of victory. The soldiers planted them in silence, their movements deliberate and unhurried. The commander stepped aside, and the broadcast showed the galaxy what remained of the alien empire's fleets. Nothing but twisted metal drifting through space, wreckage spinning slowly in the void. This is the fate of those who believe they can kill without consequence. The voice of the commander said over the images. Then the screens went black for a moment, replaced by a single line of text in every known language. "Earth does not forget. Earth does not forgive." The transmission ended, but the silence it left behind was heavy in trading hubs. Smugglers stopped talking in military command rooms. Generals stared at each other without words. In royal palaces, rulers sat still, wondering if their past dealings with humans had been wise. Far from the galaxy's crowded worlds, the human fleets were already moving again. They did not linger in conquered systems. They did not loot or enslave. They left only ruins for those who had wronged them, and the quiet promise that they could return at any time in the years to come. The story would be told over and over the day the ambassador was killed, the day humanity answered, the day the galaxy learned that peace with Earth was possible, but war with Earth was the end.